Okay, so let me just say this. I never thought I'd be the kind of guy to post on a forum like that. But one night I sat alone in my hotel room, another beige box, another city for work, staring at my phone and wondering if anyone out there even got me anymore. And that's when it hit me. I needed weird Barbie. No, not a broken Barbie. Not some cliche midlife crisis fantasy. I mean someone as off-kilter as me. Someone rebellious and funny and raw. Someone who could make my mind spin with her own brand of crazy. Not the kind of crazy that ruins your life, well, not on purpose, but the kind that makes you feel alive again after years of beige hotel rooms and polite dinners where you talk about quarterly returns and pretend to care about golf. I poured myself a drink, 2 fingers of bourbon neat, and stared at my reflection in the dark window. 54, still 6 feet tall if you count the flip-flops. Not bad for a guy whose abs had faded into memory, but who could still see his belt buckle without sucking it in. I wrote the post half as a joke, half as a dare to the universe. It was late, past midnight, and I typed fast, "I need weird Barbie." And then I laid it out, avant-garde taste, a little rebellious, witty, lonely, but hiding it behind jokes. Someone isolated in her own metaphorical playhouse, while all the normal Barbies sipped Chardonnay at book club and posted vacation pics from Maui. I described myself too, middle-aged Ken with a runner's frame and a suit-wearing job. Travels for work, West Coast spots like LA, San Francisco, sometimes Chicago or Boston. Not Ryan Gosling handsome, but better than Alan, I hoped. No daddy stuff, no baddie stuff, just looking for one singular Barbie to connect with for real. When I hit post, my heart thudded in my chest like I'd confessed something forbidden. And in a way, maybe I had. The first few days were nothing. A couple of jokey replies, one guy telling me Alan is underrated, he's not wrong, 2 DMs from obvious bots, but then there was her message. She called herself Feral Barbie. The subject line just said, "Let's get weird." Her first message was blunt, "You want weird, try me." I once shaved my head at 2 a.m. because Mercury was retrograde and my ex said he missed the old me. Now he's blocked and I've got a drawer full of wigs. Where's your next trip? I laughed, like really laughed for the first time in months. We started slow, messages that turned into long email threads. She told me about her Taco Tuesday tradition, full costume mandatory, her collection of thrifted salt shakers shaped like animals, each with its own tragic backstory, and how she'd been married once, a decade ago, but swore off anything resembling white picket fences after catching her husband cheating with their neighbor during an HOA meeting. She didn't ask what brought me to the forum right away, which made me trust her more than anyone else had in years. But late one night, after we'd swapped dog memes and debated whether guacamole counts as a food group, she wrote, "So why are you looking for someone outside your regular life?" I hesitated, fingers hovering over the keys. The truth felt heavy, because nobody sees it anymore, I wrote back. Whatever it is, the spark, the weirdness, I feel like I'm screaming into a void most days, and everyone just wants me to be regular Ken. Even my wife barely notices when I'm gone on these trips unless the garbage needs taking out or she can't find her yoga mat. There it was, my confession. She replied instantly. "I get it. My ex used to say he wanted adventure but freaked out if we ate at a restaurant without Yelp reviews. Sometimes you gotta break your own box open before you suffocate inside it." 3 weeks passed like this, emails every day, sometimes all night if we both happened to be awake or too restless to sleep. We moved from emails to texting after that, then to voice notes. Her laugh was wild, a cackle that made me grin even when she wasn't saying anything funny. She sent pictures, always cropped so I couldn't see her whole face at once, bright streaks of pink in her hair, neon lipstick even when she was home alone watching reality TV reruns. She asked for pictures too, not nudes, though those came later, just real ones, me in flannel on a hiking trail outside Flagstaff, me sprawled across an ugly couch in a rental apartment, selfies from hotel elevators with bad lighting and worse carpet. It felt good, dangerous good. One night she texted, "If you could meet anywhere right now, where would it be?" I stared at my phone so long my bourbon went warm in my hand. "San Diego," I typed finally. "By the cliffs at sunset. There's this spot near Ocean Beach where nobody goes if they're sober or sane. We could bring margaritas and just watch people wipe out on longboards below us until the fog rolls in." She replied with a gif of Barbie doing splits on top of a taco truck and said, "Name the date, Kenneth." That weekend became our plan, a stolen 48 hours between work obligations for me and family drama, her words for her. The week leading up to it felt like crawling through syrup. Every meeting dragged, every call home with my wife was more perfunctory than usual. Friday morning came, clouds streaked over Phoenix as I tossed 2 shirts into an overnight bag and told my wife there was an urgent client dinner, last-minute trip to San Diego, sorry babe. She barely looked up from her laptop. The drive was electric. I blasted music from college years and screamed along until my voice cracked because nobody could hear me or judge me or roll their eyes at how much fun I was having by myself. We met on the boardwalk by Ob Pier just before dusk. She wore sunglasses so big they swallowed half her face and combat boots covered in Sharpie doodles. A literal interpretation of Weird Barbie if ever there was one. We hugged awkwardly at first. We both laughed at how nervous we were, her perfume sharp as lime zest, her hands trembling as she handed me a flask wrapped in rainbow duct tape. "To weirdness," she toasted, tipping it against my lips before taking a pull herself. We walked for hours talking about nothing and everything. The kind of conversation that feels like skipping stones across water because every bounce brings up something new. Her mom's conspiracy theories about fluoride, my secret love for baking shows, how neither of us could remember the last time we felt genuinely seen by someone else without having to explain ourselves first. As darkness fell, we found ourselves sitting on cold sand beneath a blanket she'd swiped from her car trunk. Hideous granny square knit that made us both itch but kept us laughing all the same. And then it happened almost by accident. The kiss slid between one joke and another. Soft at first, then hungry enough to make us both gasp into each other's mouths like we'd been holding our breath all year waiting for this exact moment. She pulled away first. Are you sure this isn't, just rebellion or boredom or whatever? I shook my head so hard it hurt. Nope, it's exactly what it needs to be right now. Then we kissed again until neither of us could feel our toes from cold or adrenaline or both, and stumbled laughing toward her car where things got even messier in all senses of the word than either of us planned for when we left our respective houses that morning. Afterward, we lay tangled together under that itchy blanket listening to waves crash somewhere far off below us while she traced circles on my chest with one painted nail. You're not going back tonight, are you? She whispered into my neck. I thought about lying but didn't bother. No, I booked 2 nights just in case. She grinned wickedly. Good, I hate sleeping alone after tequila. And just like that, we were officially crossing lines neither of us could uncross even if we wanted to now. Saturday morning bled into afternoon, brunch turned into beer, flights turned into wandering thrift stores where she tried on hats shaped like fruit until shopkeepers threw us out for giggling too loud near the vintage glassware section. At 3 p.m. she got a call from an unknown number and stepped outside to answer it while mouthing work thing over her shoulder before disappearing around the corner for 20 minutes straight. While I paced inside pretending not to notice how much time had passed or how nervous I suddenly felt standing there among dusty porcelain cats, waiting for someone else's Barbie to come back from wherever real life had yanked her away to this time around. When she finally returned, she looked rattled but wouldn't say why, just grabbed my hand tighter than before and insisted we hit up this dive bar she knew where everyone sang karaoke badly enough that nobody cared if you forgot half the words halfway through. Don't stop believin'. That night ended with us back at my hotel room, the kind with scratchy sheets and tiny shampoo bottles, which somehow felt more romantic than any 5-star suite ever could have because it meant hiding together from everything else waiting outside those ugly beige walls, until checkout forced us back into sunlight Sunday afternoon whether we liked it or not. We lingered as long as possible before splitting up again, her peeling away down Pacific Coast Highway blasting Lizzo from busted speakers, while I watched taillights fade out wondering if this entire weekend had actually happened, or if maybe I'd fallen asleep after too many bourbons alone again somewhere between Phoenix and nowhere special at all anymore. But then came Monday, and everything snapped back into sharp relief faster than jet lag after a red-eye flight back east. The text started early. Miss you already, can't stop thinking about Friday. Do you think about me when you go home? And then the big one, what if someone finds out? I froze reading it over breakfast across from my wife who barely noticed I stopped chewing halfway through oatmeal bland enough to make cardboard jealous these days. A paranoia creeps faster than guilt sometimes. I started double-checking locks on my phone, deleting messages as soon as I read them, disabling preview so nothing popped up while I showered. But weird Barbie wasn't paranoid. She sent memes during meetings, pictures of cats wearing hats, audio files of herself singing badly along with Taylor Swift. It felt reckless and thrilling until suddenly also terrifying because what if someone did find out? What if I lost everything? It only got worse after that. One night I got home late, a client dinner ran long, and found my wife waiting up on the couch staring down at something glowing blue in her lap. It was my iPad open to an email thread marked Feral Barbie. I nearly dropped my keys right there. Took every muscle not to flinch outright as I slid onto the opposite end of the sofa, trying desperately not to look as guilty, as I felt inside out all over already anyway. She didn't look up immediately. Instead, she scrolled slowly, for effect maybe, or maybe because she couldn't believe what she was seeing either. The silence stretched so thin it might snap any second when finally she spoke without turning around. Because this sentence is seared forever into memory now. Because this is where everything changed. Because this is exactly what I said next, the moment everything snapped wide open. I said, I know I'm supposed to apologize right now, but honestly I haven't felt alive or seen or real in years, so yes, I did this horrible, selfish thing. But only because being here has felt like suffocating every single day, since we started pretending this marriage is still alive when really we both know better than anyone else how dead it actually is inside these walls now. And then I watched her shoulders shake, not with anger exactly, but something colder. She said, how long has it been since you looked at me like I mattered? But I didn't have an answer good enough for either of us, so instead I just sat there while she packed up quietly and left without another word except, I'll call you tomorrow. I don't know how long I sat there after she left, the air thick with shame, every clock ticking louder than before, every message buzzing unanswered while Feral Barbie sent question marks followed by sad emojis followed by are you okay? Followed by silence when I didn't reply fast enough anymore. The fallout came fast after that, the way storms do when skies have been heavy too long already. Friends called asking why Katie had moved out. Coworkers eyed me sideways during lunch breaks. Even Alan from accounting had something snide to say about men who think they can have their cake and eat it too. Not cool, man. Even Ryan Gosling would dump you. It got messier when Katie called crying late one night asking whose idea it was first, mine or weird Barbie's. Or if maybe none of this would have happened if either one of us had tried harder sooner instead of coasting along pretending nothing needed fixing ever again after all these years together already anyway. Everything spiraled from there. Lawyers got involved fast. Amicable separation is code for expensive paperwork. Joint accounts froze until further notice. Suddenly every receipt mattered again. Did you charge this hotel room last month, or was that another business trip? Every text dissected by attorneys trying desperately not to laugh aloud, reading lines about tacos, margaritas, Sharpie hearts, drawn onto rental car dashboards like we were teenagers, instead of adults falling apart spectacularly halfway through middle age already. During therapy sessions, court mandated, Katie asked point blank whether I loved weird Barbie more than our marriage, or whether maybe deep down neither one ever stood a chance against loneliness dressed up as adventure anyway. I never answered directly, not because I didn't have feelings, but because sometimes truth hurts more than lies ever could, especially late at night when even bourbon burns less than regret does, right behind your ribs where nobody else can see unless they're looking hard enough, past all your best defenses already worn threadbare by years spent pretending together instead of living honestly apart instead. Now, one night near midnight, feral Barbie texted again. Do you regret any of it? I stared at those words until screen went dark, typed, you want honesty? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. Mostly I just wish things were different somehow for everyone, but especially for you, and then waited until sunrise before admitting even silently inside myself that none of us really gets what we want, not Barbie's, not Ken's. Not anyone else spinning stories online hoping someone weird enough finally comes along willing to risk breaking out their own box beside yours no matter how messy things get afterward anyway. And here, that's where things get even wilder. Last week Katie showed up unannounced during one final conference call with HR, because apparently emotional distress counts double during divorce settlements nowadays, holding up an envelope thick with printed emails between me and feral Barbie, all annotated, with highlighter marks around phrases like spark, alive, only person who gets me, and demanded point blank whether any part of this nightmare could have been avoided if either one had simply admitted they weren't happy sooner rather than later. But before I could answer properly, she threw everything onto coffee table between us, all 200 pages worth, and turned toward door saying, only good luck finding your real Barbie, Ken. Hope she doesn't break too easily either. And here's what guts me most. The next morning, as sun crept across kitchen tiles still sticky from spilled tequila months earlier already gone stale, a single text came through from feral Barbie reading simply, I think maybe we broke each other instead, and suddenly nothing felt weird or brave anymore. Just hollow echoing through empty rooms still haunted by laughter neither one gets back again no matter how hard they try moving forward separately now. Because some boxes once broken can never be taped shut again no matter how many times you wish otherwise deep down inside yourself when nobody else is watching anymore. And as I stare now at flickering cursor blinking tauntingly against blank screen wondering whether telling whole world makes any difference at all compared to just admitting truth quietly inside own head late some lonely Tuesday night far from home yet again. I realize maybe being Kenneth means learning how not to need anyone else's approval, not wife's, not Barbie's, not even Alan from accounting's smirk peeking over cubicle wall each morning mocking failures small, huge, invisible everywhere between lines drawn years ago already faded nearly beyond recognition entirely now. And yet right now, as thunder rolls distant outside hotel window somewhere near Boston, while another conference call waits muted on laptop nearby, all I want is someone weird enough, brave enough, broken enough, willing enough simply to sit beside me quietly, until neither one needs words anymore, just shared understanding lingering long after lights go dark once more. Until next time.